Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari.
Hare Krishna. Today we are going to study the verse number 13 of chapter number 5 of Bhagwat Gita as it is. The name of this chapter is Karma Yoga, that is action in Krishna consciousness. By now, all of us are familiar with the terms like karma and karma yoga. Karma is the action which is done for one's own happiness, and it is the main cause of bondage and unhappiness. Whereas karma yoga means actions done for the happiness of Krishna, which liberates a person from the bondage of repeated birth and death and gives eternal happiness. Each one of us are working day and night for happiness, but only if we could know that the secret of happiness which is given in Bhagavad Gita, and if we could study and understand under a bona fide spiritual master the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, then everyone can become peaceful and happy, because the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is divine. It is Krishna's words, and Krishna's words are always meant for good for each one of us. In the previous verse, Krishna said that the people who are connected with him and do all their prescribed duties are always happy and peaceful, because they are free from the reactions of their karma. And the people who are not connected with Krishna, which means that the people who do all the work for their own sense enjoyment, they are never happy as they get entangled in the reactions of karma. And in today's verse, Krishna is going to teach us how to be free from the false ego, which is the root cause of all unhappiness. Now let us recite the verse number 13 of chapter number 5. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan nakarayan. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naivam kurvan nakarayan. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan nakarayan. Krishna says that when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi. Where does he reside? Navadvare pure dehi. And how does he reside? Neither working nor causing work to be done. Naiva kurvan nakarayan. He neither works nor causes any work to be done. It's a very interesting verse, and let us come to know what Krishna is going to teach us through this verse. You must be thinking that how is it possible if a person doesn't work, neither he causes any work to be done, then how is it possible that he can be happy? But let us read the Anvay given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then we will understand what Krishna is actually teaching us. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Sarva karmani, all activities, Manasa, by his mind. Sanyasya, having completely renounced. Aste, remains. Sukham, happily. Vashi, the person whose senses are under his control. Navadware, of 9 gates. Pure, in the city, that is the body. Dehi, the embodied soul. Na, not. Eva, certainly. Kurvan, doing nothing. Nakarayan, nor causing any action. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the self-controlled soul, that is the Nishkam Yogi, having renounced within his mind attachment to the fruits of all prescribed duty, Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasyaste Sukham Vashi. Further, Chakravarti Pad says that such a person who has renounced with his mind the attachment to the fruits of all prescribed duty happily dwells in the city of 9 gates, as he neither performs any actions himself nor does he cause anyone to act. Here we need to understand that the renunciation of action and the fruits of action is to be done in the mind, and all the actions, which is the prescribed duty, has to be performed by the body, which means the person should have the complete knowledge that he is not his body and his body is a product of 5 elements of material nature, which is the external power of Krishna, and the subtle body, that is the mind, ego and intelligence, which we know as Man, Buddhi or Ahankar, is also a product of subtle energy of Krishna and is governed by the 3 modes of material nature, that is the mode of goodness or Satogun, the mode of passion or Rajogun, and the mode of ignorance, that is Tamogun. So the person who has this complete knowledge that neither he is his body nor his body belongs to him, then he does not claim the doership of any work, nor does he wishes to enjoy the fruits of his actions. He is only interested to do everything for the happiness of Krishna, and not having the feeling of doership and not having any wish to enjoy the fruits of his work. Such a person is completely detached from his actions with mind, but does all the work with his body and lives peacefully in the body, which is called a city with 9 gates. In this verse, the material body is called as a city with 9 gates because our body has 9 holes: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth. These are the upper gates, and the 2 lower gates are for evacuation and procreation. A person who has clear knowledge about his own self as spirit soul never mistakes himself to be his body, which is actually like a city with 9 gates, or a house which has 9 doors and windows. Only such a person living in this material body and carrying out all his duties with his body lives happily and peacefully. Now let us read the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada says that the embodied soul lives in the city of 9 gates. Prabhupada says that Krishna, instead of material body, has specifically explained the material body as a city with 9 gates or a house with 9 doors and windows. Krishna has used the word Navadware Pure, that is, city with 9 gates, so that we can think and identify our body as a city with 9 gates, and the activities of the body or the figurative city of body are conducted automatically by the particular 3 modes of nature. Prabhupada says that the soul is completely aloof from the material body, but due to its long association with the material body, it is subjected to the conditions of the material body. But if it wants, it can go beyond the conditions of the material body. Prabhupada says the reason that why does the spirit soul get subjected to the conditions of the material body, and the reason is the lack of knowledge, and the lack of knowledge leads to the lack of identity and forgetfulness. The spirit soul, which is actually a part and parcel of Krishna, being completely ignorant of its true self as spirit soul, identifies itself with the material body and suffers the pains and pleasures of the material body. And this is how the soul gets completely entangled in the endless cycle of birth and death. Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is the only process by which the spirit soul can revive its real position as spirit soul and can liberate itself from the endless cycle of birth, death, old age. Srila Prabhupada always says that Krishna consciousness is the only process by which the spirit soul can revive its real position as the spirit soul and can liberate itself from the endless cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. We must always remember the acronym of body. B stands for birth, O stands for old age, D stands for disease, and Y stands for Yamraj. And to come out of the endless cycle of birth and death, this body, which is just like a city with 9 gates or a house with 9 doors and windows, one needs to take to Krishna consciousness. And taking to Krishna consciousness means reading Bhagwat Gita, Bhagavatam, following the 4 regulative principles of no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illegal relationships, and chanting 16 rounds of Maha Mantra every day. Chanting at least 16 rounds of Maha Mantra every day. And by doing such simple things, one can become Krishna consciousness. That is, will realize the true self, which means will have self-realization and God realization. Srila Prabhupada says that by becoming Krishna conscious, a person can revive his real position and can come out of the material embodiment. In very simple words, a Krishna conscious person realizes himself to be a spirit soul, which is a part of Krishna. And by this knowledge, he immediately starts doing everything for the happiness of Krishna, because now he knows that he is not his body and that his body belongs to Krishna. So everything should be done for the happiness of Krishna, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he being his part in an eternal way. That is, he is Krishna's part and is an eternal servant of Krishna. Prabhupada says that we are all habituated to be the servant in this material world. To be the servant or to work as a servant is the same thing. Either in our working place or in the house. Serving is common for each one of us. We are all serving someone or the other. If not any person, then a person might be serving a dog or birds, fishes, plants, and trees. So we are all used to serving someone or the other because our real constitutional position is this, that we are all eternal servants. But it is a matter of choice for us. If we wish to serve our family, society, nation at large, devoid of the knowledge that Krishna resides in every living being, then we are in material consciousness. But if we serve everyone with the consciousness that Krishna resides in every living being, and apart from our giving them food, clothes, and shelter to our family or anyone else in the society, if we give them the knowledge of Krishna by teaching them Bhagwat Gita for the happiness of Krishna, then we are Krishna conscious. Prabhupada, in very simple words, says that if we do all our prescribed duties according to the Varn Ashram Dharma prescribed in the scriptures, then we can gradually become Krishna conscious, because the whole aim of the Varn Ashram Dharma is to help people to become Krishna conscious. And once a person becomes Krishna conscious, then he becomes completely aloof from bodily activities. It means that neither does he think himself to be the doer of any work, nor does he work with the attraction of enjoying the fruits of his actions. In such a controlled way of life, in which his thoughts and attitude has completely changed regarding everything in this material world, he lives happily within the city of 9 gates. This is what is explained in today's verse. Today almost everyone is earning money and leading a good lifestyle. But in spite of all the material possessions like good house, good family, good lifestyle, good children, happiness is missing from almost every life. It's a very sad reality that everyone is working and leading a good lifestyle. In spite of all the material possessions, people are missing out on happiness. And the main cause of it is that when people are not Krishna conscious, then they can never become happy, because unless and until we make Krishna happy, who is our main origin from where each one of us have come into existence, how can we dream to become happy? And in today's verse, the secret of permanent happiness is revealed, that in spite of being in this temporary body, which is compared with a city with 9 gates, one can be happy. But for that, one has to learn the art of becoming Krishna conscious. Krishna says, Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan na kare. It means that when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, neither working nor causing work to be done. And Srila Prabhupada says that in Svetachvar Upanishad, it's very nicely explained about the city with 9 gates, that is the material body. Navadvare pure dehi hamso lalayate bahih vashi sarvasya lokasya sthavarasya charasya cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within the body of a living entity, is the controller of all living entities all over the universe. The body consists of 9 gates, that is, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, the anus, and the genitals. The living entity in his conditioned stage identifies himself with the body. But when he identifies himself with the Lord within himself, he becomes just as free as the Lord, even while in the body. So it's so clearly it is mentioned here that when the living entity gets to know that in his heart resides the controller of all the living entities and he is a part of him, then only he also becomes as free as the Supreme Krishna. Because Krishna is all independent and he is free from all the contaminations of all the work which is done in this material world. Krishna is completely untouched, and we, being his part and parcel, are also like Krishna, completely free from all kinds of reactions of the work. But only if we identify ourselves with the spirit soul, then we also become free as Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is free from both the outer and inner activities of the material world. Prabhupada explains to us in very simple words, Sarva Karmani Manasa Sannyasaste. That means that when a person has decided by Manasa, Manasa means by the mind, he has completely determined by his mind that he will only work for Krishna's happiness, and only then is his happiness under his control. Sukham Vashi. And when a person becomes firm in his determination, lives peacefully in the city of 9 gates, that is, Navadware Pure Naiva Kurvan Nakarayan. It means that a person in pure consciousness lives peacefully in this material body, which is compared with the city or house with 9 gates or outlets. In this verse, Krishna has specifically used the word Navadware Pure for the material body so that we may understand that our body is really like a city or house with 9 outlets, and the way we live in our house, city, and country, but never consider ourselves as house, city, or country, then why do we get attached with our body or the body of our so called family members, friends, or relatives? I have used the word so called because all relationships in this material world is only restricted to one life, and our relation with Krishna is permanent. To make us realize that this body is nothing more than a city or a house with 9 outlets, and then accordingly we can use our body for all Krishna conscious activities to make Krishna happy. And when Krishna is happy, then we will also become happy. And other than this, there is no other way to become happy. Living in this material body, which is the main cause of so much of bodily pains and sufferings. Now I am sure that all of us have properly understood the meaning of this material body and how should we live in this material body and never have the feeling of doership and never be interested to enjoy the fruits of our actions. If we can follow these simple suggestions given to us by Krishna, then who can stop us from being happy in spite of being in the temporary body which has been compared with a city or house with 9 outlets? I thank Srila Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and my Shiksha Guru for explaining to us the most secretive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita in such simple manner. My humble obeisances to all the acharyas. I thank you for listening to the Bhagavad Gita shlokas so attentively and patiently. Please do write your realizations as it encourages me and helps others to have a better understanding of the shlokas. Now we shall meet next week with the next verse. Till then, keep chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and always be happy. Hare Krishna.